A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilchi and here are the headlines. State Committee of CPM's West Bengal unit to finalize its election plan. Party gets green signal to discuss possibility of an alliance with the Congress. War of words over DDCA case intensifies. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal refuses to apologize for allegations against Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. The Congress celebrates its 131st Foundation Day, but embarrassment for the party as Maharashtra unit publishes an article carrying controversial remarks against Nehru and Sonia Gandhi. Union government limits the supply of underpriced fuel, disallows LPG subsidy for taxpayers earning over 10 lakh rupees. And Iraqi forces claim landmark victory over Islamic State militants, capture the main Anbar province of Ramadi. The CPIM could join hands with the Congress in West Bengal if such a situation arises. However, the party says that there has been no discussion on the topic so far. At the party's plenum in Kolkata, the leaders are discussing ways to increase its base among Dalits. Here's a report.
The CPIM's West Bengal State Committee will finalize its election plan for the state next month. That is when the topic of an alliance with the Congress is likely to come up. Sources say that CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri has given the green signal to the state committee to discuss the issue.
No state committee of the CPIM is autonomous. No state. I mean, they have to take a decision in accordance with the central understanding of the party that is there in the party Congress resolutions and what we decide in the plenum. So all that I am saying is West Bengal committee has said that the discussions on this will begin from the beginning of January.
Some senior leaders from the state have already spoken about the need for such an alliance, although this partnership will be a difficult one considering the equation between the CPIM and the Congress in Kerala. Sitaram Yechuri tabled a resolution on the organizational structure of the party at the plenum. This resolution talks about increasing the party's base among the backward classes, especially Dalits.
People who could command the influence over crores of Indian Dalits and marginalized people. In spite of all such giants and big movements, why is the status of Dalits and the tribals what it is today? Because the focus was only, like Mahatma Gandhi said, change of heart. Harijan. Changing of heart doesn't give you equality. Changing the economic empowerment gives you the equality. That is the change that we project.
The next 3 days at the plenum will be dedicated to discussing this resolution and the report on the party's organizational structure. Shyam Sundar's report from Kolkata for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Aam Aadmi Party-led Delhi government has rejected the BJP claim that Finance Minister Arun Jaitley was cleared by an inquiry panel that had been appointed to investigate the alleged irregularities in the DDCA. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal hit back at the BJP over the party's demand for a public apology for targeting the Finance Minister.
A day after the BJP sought a public apology from Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal over his allegations against Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, the Aam Aadmi Party convener has categorically refused to do so. On Monday, Kejriwal tweeted that he would not apologize to the BJP as the matter was not resolved yet. The Delhi government has also clarified that the BJP is falsely trying to project the inquiry report as a clean chit to Jaitley.
ये रिपोर्ट कहती है कि साहब इलेक्शन में घपला, स्टेडियम बनाने में घपला, फाइनेंशियल इरेगुलरिटीज, प्रॉक्सी वोटिंग में घपला हो रहा है, डीडीसीए में चारों तरफ घपला ही घपला हो रहा है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं जो क्लीन चिट का ढिंडोरा पीट रहे हैं, कहां क्लीन चिट मिली है, किस चीज में क्लीन चिट मिली है?
केजरीवाल साहब बेबुनियाद बात करने में माहिर हैं। अरुण जेटली ऐसे ईमानदार व्यक्ति पर उन्होंने इस तरह की बात कही। उनके अपने जो अफसर्स की कमेटी थी उसने तो उनके खिलाफ कुछ नहीं पाया। तो केजरीवाल साहब पहले इस बात का जवाब दें कि अगर उनके ऑफिसर्स की कमेटी ने कुछ उनके खिलाफ नहीं पाया, कहा आगे जांच की जरूरत है, तो उन्होंने अरुण जेटली पर इस तरह के अस्तरहीन आरोप क्यों लगाए?
Meanwhile, suspended BJP MP Kirti Azad has demanded a CBI probe into the scam. and insisted that his fight was against corruption in the cricket body and not specifically against the finance minister.
प्रवक्ताओं को यही कहना चाहता हूं कि पार्टी का मामला तो है नहीं, ये मामला तो खेलों में भ्रष्टाचार का है, ये मामला तो डीडीसी में हुए भ्रष्टाचार का है.
A 3-member panel was set up by the Delhi government to probe irregularities in DDCA. The panel in its report did not name Jaitley, which in turn triggered a war of words between the two parties. Jaitley has already filed a defamation case against Kejriwal and 5 other Aam Aadmi Party leaders. With inputs from Anu Diwan and Kriti Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Congress party faced a major embarrassment on its 131st Foundation Day today. Controversial articles appeared in its mouthpiece from Maharashtra that criticized Sonia Gandhi and questioned the decisions of Jawaharlal Nehru. Mumbai Congress chief and Journal's editor Sanjay Nirupam took responsibility for the articles, even as the episode turned the spotlight on factionalism within the Mumbai Congress.
Celebrating its 131st Foundation Day in Delhi, the Congress left red-faced on its day of glory. Its own mouthpiece in Maharashtra featured articles that not only questioned party icon Jawaharlal Nehru, but also made controversial comments on Sonia Gandhi.
जिसने भी लिखा है उसमें उसको पूरी जानकारी नहीं है. मेरे ख्याल में पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने जो लीडरशिप दी कांग्रेस को और देश को, शायद उतनी सक्षम लीडरशिप कोई दूसरा नहीं दे सकता था.
The articles in the December issue of Congress Darshan called Sonia Gandhi's father a member of fascist forces in Italy. It also described Sonia's seemingly rapid rise to the post of party president. Another article critiques Jawaharlal Nehru's policies, while surmising that the country's first prime minister could have taken his deputy Sardar Patel's advice, especially on the Kashmir issue. Party leader Sanjay Nirupam owned responsibility for the embarrassment and promised action against those responsible. The Journal's editor Sudhir Joshi was sacked, even as the BJP took pot shots at the Congress leadership.
एकाध आलेख में जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग हुआ है वो निश्चित तौर पर आपत्तिजनक है. मैं उस गलती को स्वीकार करता हूं. मैं नाम मात्र का संपादक हूं.
जी को जो न्याय मिलना चाहिए था कांग्रेस ने नहीं दिया. इतना ही क्यों, नेहरू या गांधी परिवार से दूसरे किसी का भी नाम लेने को भी लाल बहादुर शास्त्री का भी कहां जिक्र होता है. कांग्रेस केवल एक परिवार की पार्टी है और यहां विरोध के स्वर का कोई महत्व नहीं है. ये बात फिर से एक बार सामने आई है.
It's a well-known fact that Sardar Patel, as the Home Minister of India, was dealing with the princely states, but the then Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, believed that he knew Jammu and Kashmir better and therefore he was in a better position to handle it. Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee had time and again tried to bring it to the notice of Pandit ji that his Kashmir approach was flawed. Therefore, this is a well-evident view based on facts, and I think we cannot negate the facts of history.
Incidentally, the controversy surfaced just a couple of months after the journal was revived. It had been discontinued 4 years ago and was meant for internal circulation among office bearers. The leaks to the press are being blamed on infighting among senior Congress leaders in Mumbai. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, consumers now with an annual income of over 10 lakh rupees will no longer be eligible for LPG subsidy. The new rule will be applicable from the new year. A statement from the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas says that it will initially be effected on a self-declaration basis. The move comes with the government feeling that consumers in the high-income bracket should buy cylinders at market price. According to official statistics, of the over 16 crore LPG consumers in the country, 57.5 lakhs have voluntarily given up their subsidy as part of the Give It Up campaign. Meanwhile, an inquiry by the Uttar Pradesh Veterinary Department has revealed that the meat over which Mohammad Akhlaq was lynched on the 28th of September in Dadri was mutton. The meat recovered from the house of the Dadri lynching victim was not beef but goat meat. 52-year-old Mohammad Akhlaq was lynched by a violent mob in Bishara village in Dadri over rumours that he consumed beef. In its report, the veterinary officer said that samples have been sent to the forensic laboratory in Mathura for a final diagnosis and confirmation. The report is part of the charge sheet filed against 15 people, including Vishal Rana and Shivam. son and nephew of a local BJP leader, Sanjay Rana.
इस घटना के बाद जो रिपोर्ट आई है, उसके बाद उत्तर प्रदेश के चुनाव में वहाँ की जनता इनको भींगी बिल्ली बना देगी।
समाजवादी पार्टी और बीजेपी सांप्रदायिक दंगे करवाती है और उन्होंने मुजफ्फरनगर कांड जब हुआ उससे उन्होंने सोचा दादरी में भी ऐसी कुछ घटनाएं हो जाएं जिससे सांप्रदायिक दंगा हो और फिर बिहार के चुनाव में उसकी रोटियां सेकी जाएं। लोग सावधान थे और उन्होंने जब ये रिपोर्ट आई है, जांच कमेटी ने ये रिपोर्ट दी है, तो इससे दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो गया है।
Cold wave conditions continue to prevail across North India, although some states witnessed a slight reprieve with clear skies and a warm sun. However, residents of Kashmir and Ladakh again witnessed a drop in night temperatures, with Leh being the coldest at minus 12 degrees Celsius.
A temporary respite from the cold wave in Haryana and Punjab. Minimum temperatures rose slightly on Monday, with even neighbouring New Delhi also seeing a sunny morning. The national capital recorded a minimum temperature of 12.2 degrees Celsius in the morning, 5 degrees higher than the season's average. Amritsar recorded a low of 3.6 degrees Celsius, one notch above normal. Narnaul was the coldest place in Haryana, recording a jump in its minimum temperature at 5.5 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, harsh cold made people wrap up in multiple layers of clothing.
ठंड इस टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा पड़ रही, शीतलहर चल रही है और हाथ पैर भी सुन्न हो रहे हैं। बच्चों के लिए सबसे ज़्यादा खतरनाक है और धूप तो निकल रही है लेकिन उसमें गर्मी नहीं है, ना तो सर्दी का माहौल है।
शीतलहर चल रही है यहाँ पे, बारिश का कोई भी वो नहीं है, तो इसलिए लोगों को बीमारी खांसी फुंसी हो रही है सूखे से और बारिश पता नहीं कब तक आएगी, इसलिए प्रॉब्लम हो रही है।
Residents in Kashmir and Ladakh regions witnessed a drop in the night temperatures after a day of respite. Leh was the coldest place at minus 12 degrees Celsius, while Kargil was the second coldest at a minimum of minus 11 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature in Srinagar was at minus 2.7 degrees Celsius. The Met Office has forecast dry weather conditions across the state till Wednesday. Odisha also experienced intense cold, with Pulbani recording a low of 2.5 degrees Celsius. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take you through what else made news across the country in Nationwide. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who is on a 4-day visit to India, met Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu in Hyderabad today. Microsoft Corporation has an understanding with the state government to partner in public cloud computing and digitized education system. Nadella also talked about improving citizen services in the state. Polling for 11 civic bodies began amid tight security in Chhattisgarh today. The elections are being held for 1 municipal corporation, 4 municipal councils and 6 Nagar Panchayats. The fate of 1,064 candidates will be decided by some 6.2 lakh voters. The results will be announced on 31st of December. At least 6 workers were killed and 11 others injured when a 2-story building collapsed in Chandigarh on Monday. Police officials said that the mishap occurred on a basement that was being constructed in the building. The disaster management rescue team helped rescue people from the debris. An investigation has been ordered into the incident. With a quick break here, but more news follows. Do stay with us.
India's star shining in global affairs.
The professional army of any country does not have faith, piety and jihad in the name of God.
From regional power to assertive global leader.
Sri Lanka denies that these violations took place.
We want India to be a superpower. We have been doing everything for decades and we have been giving to India everything best we have.
Experts debate the nation's foreign policy.
We should not have any political preference of ours so far as Nepal is concerned.
Taliban were the creatures of Pakistan. Whatever people may say, they were created by Pakistan.
India's World with Bharat Bhushan on Rajya Sabha Television.
Who should be in power?
is left to be determined by the people.
I want all minorities to have an honorable place in the Union of India.
Declaration was that zamindari would be abolished, for which fair compensation would be paid.
There is no dispute whatsoever that the executive should be separated from the judiciary.
The protagonists of Hindi, in their enthusiasm, have gone too far.
Greatest danger in the future may not be that the center will interfere too much, but that the units may resent the guidance of the center.
The future constitution of India would be a pyramidal structure based on the village panchayats.
I move that the constitution be passed.
Get live Rajya Sabha session. News, views, reports and analysis you can trust on social media. Subscribe, follow, like Rajya Sabha Television. Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 12:30 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m.
Back, let's get you some more international news now. Iraqi forces are now in full control of central Ramadi, the last remaining Islamic State stronghold in Iraq, claiming their biggest victory of the year. The government said that the next target after Ramadi will be the northern city of Mosul, which would effectively deprive the IS of a major source of funding.
Months of strategic planning to mount a ground campaign on the last remaining Islamic State stronghold in Iraq and closely coordinated coalition airstrikes have finally yielded results. Iraqi forces claimed a landmark victory over the militants, capturing the main Anbar province of Ramadi. The operation to recapture Ramadi began in early November but made slow progress. After encircling the city for weeks, the Iraqi military made a final push to seize the central administration complex on Sunday.
حاليا تم الوصول إلى منطقة الحوز الأولى بالقرب من دور البذويب وجامع الفرقان. حاليا قطاعاتنا مسيطرة على هاي المنطقة والمجمع الحكومي يبعد من 100 إلى 150 متر وإن شاء الله سيتم تحرير المجمع الحكومي عن قريب إن شاء الله.
Forces had estimated the presence of more than 400 IS fighters in Ramadi before the offensive. More than 50 of them were killed in the past 48 hours alone. However, there are still some pockets of resistance in the city, although officials describe them as very weak.
العلم العراقي فوق المجمع الحكومي بالأنبار ليرفرف شامخا ليسمو الوطن وليكتب تاريخ جديد لأن الحق معنا ولأننا ندافع عن كرامتنا وأرضنا.
Meanwhile, in a new audio message, IS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi acknowledged the escalating pressure on the Islamic State but challenged the United States and its allies to confront his extremist group on the ground in Iraq and Syria. It is the first major triumph for Iraqi forces since the province fell into the hands of the militants 18 months ago. And it is the second main city to be retaken by the Iraqi government after Tikrit in April. The army now plans to head north to the city of Mosul in a bid to dislodge the militants from the biggest population center under IS control. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in a rare United Nations-sponsored deal between the Syrian rebels and the Assad government on Monday, it allowed safe passage to hundreds of rebels and civilians from 3 besieged towns. A convoy of buses and ambulances are transporting them to other rebel-held areas via Lebanon and Turkey for treatment under UN mediation.
Hoping to build momentum ahead of the peace talks in January, the Syrian regime and the rebels started evacuations from 3 Syrian towns. The evacuations are part of the UN-brokered 6-month truce agreed in September, covering Zabadani and 2 other towns in the north. Ambulances and buses entered the besieged rebel-held town to ferry over 450 fighters and civilians, including many wounded. The evacuees will travel to other rebel-held areas via Lebanon and Turkey. The deal also provides for a ceasefire to allow in humanitarian aid. The Lebanese Red Cross, the Syrian Arab Red Crescent, and the United Nations are all involved in the operation. Much of the town was devastated in a major offensive launched in July against the insurgents by the Syrian army backed by Hezbollah. A similar operation to evacuate rebels from the Palestinian refugee camp of Yarmouk outside Damascus collapsed on Saturday, shortly before it was due to start, after the death of rebel chief Zahran Aloush in a government airstrike. The United Nations and foreign governments have tried to broker local ceasefires and safe passage agreements as step towards the wider goal of ending Syria's 5-year-long civil war. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in Afghanistan, a civilian was killed and 13 others injured after a suicide car bomb exploded near Kabul's airport. The attack happened near the airport's military entrance that is used by NATO and coalition forces. The victims were all civilians and included 8 children. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack, saying that the group's intended target was a convoy of foreign troops. The blast came a day after Pakistani Army Chief General Raheel Sharif visited Kabul to help instigate a new phase of peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. In fact, Taliban insurgents have repeatedly launched attacks targeting the heavily fortified Kabul airport, part of which is used for military purposes. And now let's give you some more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. South Korea and Japan reached a landmark agreement to resolve the issue of comfort women. These women were forced to work in Japan's wartime brothels that has for long been an irritant in the relations between the neighbors. The Japanese government has resolved to contribute to a fund to help the women. China has expressed anger after Filipino protesters landed on a disputed Philippine-held island in the South China Sea. About 50 protesters, mostly students, demonstrated against what they call Beijing's creeping invasion of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. China claims almost all the South China Sea, while Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam also have claims. "28th December marks 1 year of the crash of the Indonesian Air Asia flight QZ8501. The plane crashed into the Java Sea last year, killing all 162 people on board. Earlier this month, Indonesian investigators gave their first public report that blamed the tragedy on a faulty rudder system and pilot and delayed crew response. Now let's change tracks. Get you all the latest from the world of sports in SportsBeat. India beat Nepal to advance into the semi-finals of the South Asian Football Federation Cup on Sunday. 18-year-old Changte Lallianswala became the youngest goal scorer for India as the hosts bounced back from a goal down to beat Nepal 4-1 in their final group match. Apart from India, Sri Lanka is the other side from Group A to qualify for the last 4 stage. Martin Guptill's 93 off 30 balls stood out as New Zealand thrashed Sri Lanka in the second ODI to go 2-0 up in the series. Chasing a small score of 118, Guptill went within a whisker of breaking the world record for the fastest ODI 50, scoring his half-century in 16 balls. He missed the fastest century as the Black Caps won with 10 wickets in just 8.4 overs. Barcelona forward Lionel Messi was named the Player of the Year at the Globe Soccer Awards in Dubai on Sunday. The 28-year-old Argentine, who is a 4-time World Player of the Year and has been shortlisted for the 2015 Ballon d'Or, helped to inspire his team to the Champions League, the La Liga and the Kings Cup treble despite losing 2 months to injury. The Best Team of the Year award went to European champions Barcelona. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.